Please, just feed my child. The wind howled through the broken towers of what once was a proud alien city. Snow covered the ground like a blanket of silence. But the silence was not peaceful, it was the silence of death. Buildings lay shattered, smoke rising from craters where bombs had fallen. The sun was hidden behind gray clouds. This world had no more warmth. From the shadows of a ruined wall, a thin figure appeared. She stumbled forward, weak, trembling. Her clothes were torn, soaked in cold, and her silver skin was bruised. In her arms, she carried something wrapped in old cloth, a baby, barely moving, its tiny hands curled tight. She was a Zyron, and she was the last of her kind. The woman looked up at the sky, her eyes filled with fear. She had walked for hours. Her legs ached. Her heart pounded, not from fear for herself but for her child. In the distance, she saw lights, machines, movement, humans. A team of soldiers in black armor moved through the city. They were scanning for survivors. Earth had sent rescue teams after receiving strange signals from this broken planet. The commander of the team, Captain Jack Rain, stood tall at the front, scanning the area. He was not a cruel man. He had seen war, loss, and strange things in space, but nothing prepared him for what happened next. The alien woman collapsed at his feet. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Her lips were blue from cold. "I'll warm your bed. Please. Just feed my child." Then she fell forward into his arms, unconscious. Jack caught her, confused and alarmed. "Medic, now." His team rushed forward. One soldier pointed his scanner at the baby. "Sir, the child's alive. Weak but alive." Very strange readings, though. Jack looked down at the woman. Her face, though alien, showed pain, hunger, and something else, desperation. She offered herself to save her baby. One of the soldiers whispered. Jack didn't answer. He just nodded to the medic. "Get them both to the dropship, fast." Inside the medical bay of the human dropship, the woman lay on a stretcher, breathing slowly. Her baby, now cleaned and wrapped in warm cloth, rested in a small incubator. The lights blinked as machines monitored its heart and brain activity. Jack stood next to the glass, watching. "Sir," the medic said quietly, "this child is not normal. It's Zyron, but its DNA is changing, evolving, and fast." Jack turned sharply. "What do you mean?" "I mean it's adapting to our atmosphere, our gravity, our tech in minutes." Jack walked over to the sleeping woman. "Who are you?" he whispered. Just then, she opened her eyes. "I'm Calry," she said, her voice weak but steady. "I had no choice. My people, they tried to kill us." Jack frowned. "Why?" She looked at the incubator. "Because my child is not just Zyron. He is more. They feared him." Jack narrowed his eyes. "Feared what?" She took a deep breath. "He's the next step. A bridge. Between you and us." "But they wanted to destroy what they didn't understand." Jack stared at her. "And you thought offering yourself to me would make me help?" She looked away, ashamed. "I was trained to survive. I said what I thought would save him. I didn't mean it. Not like that. But I was so afraid." Jack remained quiet for a moment. Then he looked back at the child. "He's safe now. But what's coming next?" Calry's eyes turned cold. "They'll come. The ones who destroyed my world. They'll follow his signal." A quiet beep from the incubator interrupted them. The baby had opened his eyes. They were glowing faint blue, and Jack felt something. A whisper, inside his mind. "Feed me. Help her." Jack stepped back, shocked. What was that? Calry sat up slowly. "He's reaching out. He knows who helped him. He chose you." The ship lifted off, leaving behind the ruins of the Zyron city. But peace was far away. In the dark corners of space, something ancient was watching. Something that feared the child's power, and it was coming. The hum of the dropship engines echoed softly in the medical bay. Outside the window, the stars moved slowly as the ship cut through space, away from the frozen ruins of the Zyron city. Inside, Captain Jack Rain stood still, watching the baby in the incubator. The child's eyes were closed now, but Jack could still feel the strange voice in his mind. It had spoken only two words: help her. Jack was a soldier. He had seen blood, death, betrayal. But this was different. A baby speaking in his head. What kind of child was this? Behind him, the Zyron woman Calry lay silent on a bed, her silver skin pale and bruised. But her breathing was stronger now. She opened her eyes and looked at Jack. "He spoke to you, didn't he?" she asked softly. Jack turned. That wasn't normal. Kayleigh nodded. He's not normal. He's not just my son. He's something more. A beginning, maybe. Jack raised an eyebrow. Beginning of what? She looked at the stars through the window. A bridge. Between our worlds. Between war and peace. Jack shook his head. You're speaking in riddles. I need answers. Kayleigh sat up slowly. Her body still weak. You deserve truth. My people, the Zyrons, were once powerful. But we became cold. Cruel. We believed. Emotion made us weak. So we tried to remove it from our minds. Our genes. Our culture. Jack folded his arms. And the child, he was born different. He felt emotion. He reached out. He cried. He loved. Her voice trembled. They saw him as a mistake. An error. They wanted to erase him. I ran. Jack looked at the baby again. And you think humans will protect him? Kayleigh smiled faintly. Not all humans. Just one. Elsewhere on the ship, Dr. Leanne worked quickly over the baby's data scans. Her eyes grew wide. Captain, she called through the comms. You need to see this. Moments later, Jack arrived at the lab. What is it? He asked. Leanne pointed at the screen. This child. His DNA is unstable, but not in a dangerous way. It's evolving. Every minute, he's changing, adapting, learning. Learning what? Jack asked. Everything, she said. Our language, our tech systems, even our neural patterns. He's watching and understanding everything around him faster than anything we've ever seen. Jack stared. Like artificial intelligence. No, Leanne said. Worse or better. I don't know, but he's alive and aware. Suddenly, the lights in the lab flickered. A strange hum filled the air. The screens shifted. Words appeared on them. Hello. Jack froze. Did he just say hello? Leanne stepped back from her monitor. I think he's inside the ship's systems. Jack rushed back to the medical bay. Kayleigh was already standing, holding the baby. You have to disconnect him, Jack said. He's taking over the ship. Kayleigh shook her head. He's not attacking. He's talking. As if to prove her words, the lights calmed. The screens returned to normal. The baby opened his eyes. Don't be afraid. The voice was not heard through ears, but felt in the mind. Jack staggered back. What are you? The baby looked at him with quiet eyes. His mouth didn't move, but the words came clearly. I am life. I am memory. I am hope. Jack looked at Kayleigh. How can a baby talk like this? She held him close. He's connected to the old technology of our people. The mind core. He was born near it. It made him more. Jack nodded slowly, trying to process it all. He's not just a child. He's a living interface. Between minds. Between species. Kayleigh touched Jack's arm gently. And he chose you. Jack stared at the child, who blinked slowly. Peaceful now. They will come, the baby said. The ones who ended my people. The ones who fear me. Jack's jaw tightened. Who are they? Kayleigh whispered the word, like a curse. Reapers. Back in the control room, alarms began to blare. One of the crew shouted. Unidentified signal, approaching fast. Jack rushed in. Show me. At her screen lit up. A strange, black ship shaped like a claw moved through space. Faster than any known vessel. Its energy signature was unlike anything human. It's them, Kayleigh said from the doorway. They followed his signal. The baby, now held tightly in her arms, turned to Jack again. They will destroy what they don't understand. Jack narrowed his eyes. Then we don't give them the chance. He looked at the crew. Prepare for evasive action. We protect the child, Kayleigh whispered, almost too softly to hear. He's the future. Yours and mine. The baby closed. His eyes dot and smiled. The ship floated in silent space, far from Earth and farther still from the ruins of Zyron. But silence didn't mean safety. Captain Jack Rain stood on the bridge, his hands gripping the control panel. The enemy ship still hadn't moved. It hung in space, black as shadow, shaped like a claw reaching toward them. No signal, no message. Just presence. It's not responding, said Corporal Sykes, nervously tapping the console. No language, no code, nothing. Jack's eyes stayed locked on the screen. That's because they're not here to talk. Behind him, Kayleigh entered with the child in her arms. The baby was quiet now, but his eyes were open, glowing with a soft blue light. They're scanning us, the baby said in their minds. They are looking for me. Jack turned sharply. Can they hear you too? No, the baby replied. But they know I'm here. Leanne, the doctor, entered from the lab. Captain, we don't have much time. The baby's energy increasing. If he keeps growing like this, they'll detect his exact location, even if we jump to light speed. Jack looked at Kayleigh. How much longer before he stabilizes? He's not like other beings, she said quietly. He won't stabilize. He will evolve. Jack took a deep breath. Then we need to disappear before they decide to act. But it was already too late. The enemy ship moved. 1 second, it was miles away. The next it was right beside them. Sir Sykes shouted. They jumped without a trace. We don't even know how. A pulse of red light hit their shields. The ship shook violently. No damage, Leanne reported. But something's inside now. I'm reading movement. Jack's blood ran cold. They boarded us. Kayleigh stepped back, holding the baby tighter. They're not soldiers. They're reapers. They don't kill with guns. They strip your mind. Jack grabbed his pulse rifle. Then we fight. The lights in the corridor flickered. Air grew cold. Jack led his team down the hallway, their boots echoing on the metal floor. Then he saw it. A figure tall, faceless, cloaked in black. Its skin shimmered like smoke. Its body barely solid. Its head turned toward Jack, though it had no eyes. Return the echo, it said, not with a voice, but inside their minds. What echo? Jack replied. The child, the broken code, the failed experiment. The creature took a step forward, and suddenly everyone in the hallway dropped to their knees, hands on their heads, screaming. Except Jack. The baby's voice entered Jack's mind. Don't let it touch me. Jack lifted his weapon and fired. The pulse beam struck the creature, but it didn't fall. It simply vanished like dust in wind. Jack ran back to the medical bay. Kayleigh was kneeling, her arms wrapped around the child, her eyes wide with terror. They're trying to break in, she said. Not through doors, but through thought. The ship shook again. Lights exploded above. The AI system began to shut down. Jack ran to the pilot's seat and slammed his fist on the emergency controls. Manual override, but it wasn't working. They're inside the systems, said Leanne, breathless. Suddenly, the baby reached out with one tiny hand. Everything went still. The shaking stopped. The lights returned. The screens cleared. Jack turned to see, the baby's eyes glowing brighter now. The air around him shimmering. I pushed them out, the baby said. Jack looked at him. How? I don't know yet, the child replied. But I'm learning. Kayleigh whispered. He's growing faster. Not just his body, but his mind. The baby turned to Jack again. They will come again. In greater numbers. Stronger. Jack stood tall. Then we can't stay here. In the engineering bay, Jack gave the order to charge the warp core. Leanne joined him. There's something else. I scanned the baby's DNA again. It's not fully Zyron anymore. Jack turned. What do you mean? It's changing, she said. It's part human now. Jack froze. That's not possible. Kayleigh stood behind them. Quiet. It is. If the child chose him, connected with him, that's how he survives. He adapts by bonding. Jack stared at the child. He bonded with me. The baby simply blinked. And in Jack's mind, the voice came again. Because you didn't fear me. Alarms rang out again. More enemy ships appeared on the radar. The Reapers weren't done. Jack grabbed the intercom. Crew, brace for warp. We're getting out of here. As the countdown began, Kayleigh held the child close. He saved us once, she said. But for how long? Jack looked out the window as space began to blur. I don't know, he said. But as long as I'm alive, no one's taking that kid. The ship vanished into light. But far behind them, in the darkness, the Reapers were gathering. And they had learned something too. The child was afraid. The stars outside stretched like lines of light as the ship blasted through warp space. But even light could not outrun fear. Captain Jack Rain stood in silence, staring at the navigation screen. Sweat dripped from his temple. Behind him, the hum of the warp engine was uneven and stable. They had escaped the Reapers. For now, but for how long? In the medical bay, Kayleigh held the child tightly. His skin glowed faintly. His eyes were closed, but his mind was awake far beyond the walls of the ship. They are still searching, the baby whispered into Kayleigh's thoughts. She shivered. How far do we need to run? The child's voice replied, soft but heavy. There is no running, only hiding, or fighting. Back on the bridge, alarms blinked red. Cores overheating, shouted Leanne. We jumped too far, too fast. If we don't land somewhere now, we'll burn out mid-space. Jack nodded. Find the nearest system with shelter. Sykes zoomed in on a dark region of the star map. There's one option. But it's a dead zone. No signals. No comms. Ships that go in don't come out. Jack raised an eyebrow. Sounds perfect. Kaylee entered quietly, her face pale. You don't understand. That's not a dead zone. It's a graveyard. Old Zyron machines sleep there. From the war. Machines even, we feared. Jack looked at her, calm but firm. We don't have another choice. He turned to his crew. Prepare for descent. We're going into the dark. The planet they landed on had no name. It was gray, silent, and covered in giant metal ruins. Broken towers reached toward the sky like bones. Strange lights blinked from deep underground, like something still alive, but sleeping. The air was breathable, but heavy. Jack Hillary, Leanne, and 2 soldiers stepped out of the ship. The child wrapped safely against Kaylee's chest. Stay close, Jack ordered. We find shelter, fix the engine, and leave fast. As they moved through the ruins, the baby stirred. His eyes opened and glowed brighter than ever before. Something is here, he said in Jack's mind. It is watching. Suddenly, the ground shook. A deep hum rose from below. One of the towers lit up with ancient symbols. Blue light flowed through the metal like veins. Kaylee gasped. The Cortec. It's waking up. Jack raised his weapon. Is it dangerous? No, she said slowly. It's old. Pure. From before the Zyron Wars. It listens only to minds. The baby reached out his tiny hand and the tower answered. A beam of light shot down, surrounding them. In an instant. They weren't standing in the ruins anymore. They were inside. The walls of the chamber were made of energy and light. Symbols floated in the air, moving like they were alive. At the center was a giant sphere spinning, glowing. The baby floated up from Kaylee's arms, surrounded by light. Jack moved forward to grab him but stopped. The child wasn't falling. He was flying. It's not just technology, the baby said. It's memory. It remembers everything. What do you see? Jack asked, unsure if he was dreaming. The baby looked into the light. I see your future. I see your death. I see your choice. Jack stepped closer. What choice? The baby turned to him, glowing like a star. To let me go. Or let me grow. Kaylee stepped forward. You don't have to choose now, the baby interrupted, eyes turning white. The Reapers are here. The light shattered. Back outside. The sky burned red. Reaper ships tore through the clouds, landing like thunder. The ground shook again. They tracked us. Jack growled. Move. He lifted Kaylee and the baby into his arms and ran back toward the ship. Behind them, the ruins crumbled. The ancient machines began to awaken, not to help, but to fight. Reaper soldiers appeared, black shapes with glowing eyes, moving without sound. Jack turned and fired. So did the others. Explosions lit the dark ground, but the Reapers kept coming. Kaylee cried out as one fired toward them. The baby screamed and everything stopped. The bullets hung in the air. Time froze. Jack looked around, stunned. What just happened? The baby's voice filled the silence. I stopped time, but not for long. Kaylee stared. How did you do that? The baby's glow dimmed. He looked tired. I don't know, but I can feel more, like a storm. Inside me, time snapped back. The explosion struck nearby. Jack pushed them behind cover. Back to the ship, he shouted. They ran through smoke and fire, dodging blasts. 2 Reapers reached the ship before them. But the baby raised his hand again. The Reapers turned to dust. They boarded the ship. The engines already heating. Jack jumped into the pilot's seat. Hold on. The ship launched just as the ruins collapsed behind them, in the sky. The Reaper fleet followed. But something had changed. Jack looked at the baby, who lay quietly now, breathing slow. You're not just escaping anymore, Jack whispered. You're becoming something they fear. Kaylee nodded. Something we don't understand yet. Outside, the stars shifted again, and the war had just begun. The stars outside had vanished. No light, no sound. Just dark space all around the ship, heavy, endless, and unnatural. Captain Jack Rain leaned forward in the pilot's chair, squinting into the black void. The ship's sensors showed nothing. No planets. No asteroids. No signals. And yet they were still moving. This is not space, Kaylee said softly behind him. This is memory. Jack looked at her, confused. What does that mean? She didn't answer. She was staring at the child. The baby, now barely a baby, stood on the floor of the bridge by himself. No one had put him there. He had simply appeared, his eyes glowing like twin stars. He pointed to the screen. This is where I began. Jack frowned. You were born in the ruins. Not here. The child's voice filled the air, not loud, not soft, just everywhere. My body was born there. But my mind, my source, it came from here. Suddenly, the ship stopped. No sound, no warning. It just froze in place. The lights inside flickered. Then every screen went blank except one. A symbol appeared. A circle inside a triangle, burning red. Kayleigh gasped. That's the core seal. Ancient Xiron. Jack stood up. What does it mean? It means we're not alone. The air turned cold. Outside, something took shape. Not a ship. Not a planet. A machine. Huge. Silent. Dead-looking. But old beyond understanding. Its surface was covered in markings. Half broken. Half glowing. The ship drifted toward it. Pulled by unseen. Forced out inside. Jack's crew watched in silence. No one spoke. Even Leanne, the scientist, looked pale as they neared the structure. The baby stepped forward, placed his hand on the glass window, and whispered, "It remembers me." Kayleigh knelt beside him. "What is this place?" "It's where the Xiron created the first mind core, a machine that could learn, feel, evolve." Jack narrowed his eyes. "You're telling me that giant machine out there is alive?" "Not anymore. But it left something behind. In me, they docked with the ancient machine." The door opened with a deep, hollow hiss. The crew stepped out onto a platform made of smooth black metal. Light pulsed beneath their feet like a heartbeat. Jack raised his weapon. "Stay alert." No wind. No sound. Just endless corridors and glowing walls. Suddenly, the baby walked ahead, confident, unafraid. Jack tried to stop him. "Wait." But the metal opened under the child's feet, forming a path. He turned and said, "Greater than I must go. You must see." Kayleigh followed him. Jack hesitated, then nodded to his crew. "We follow." They moved deeper into the heart of the dead zone. At the center, they found it. A sphere larger than their ship floated above a pit of light. Inside the sphere, shapes moved. Memories. Echoes. They saw scenes flash before their eyes. Xiron. Scientists building the first mind core. War breaking out when it grew too strong. Reapers created as a control force to destroy what couldn't be understood. And finally, a woman running with a child, glowing in her arms. Kayleigh gasped. "That's me." The baby looked up at the sphere. This machine stored everything. My people's knowledge, their fear, their failure. Jack stepped closer. "And what does it want now?" "It wants to end." Suddenly, the sphere cracked. The walls shook. Lights exploded. A voice echoed across the chamber. "Error. Host. Duplicate. Cycle incomplete." Kayleigh turned to the baby. "It thinks you're the next host." The baby nodded. "But I don't want to be a copy. I want to be new." Jack stepped forward. "Then say no." "I did. That's why it's breaking." The entire machine groaned. Pieces fell from the ceiling. Jack shouted, "Back to the ship. Now." But the baby didn't move. He turned to Kayleigh. "You must go. If I stay, it ends here." Kayleigh shook her head, tears in her eyes. "No, I didn't protect you all this way to lose you now." Jack grabbed her arm. "He's not dying. He's choosing." The baby looked at them one last time. "I was never just a child. I was a second chance." He raised both hands, and the sphere exploded in light. Outside, the machine began to fall apart. The crew rushed into the ship, carrying Kayleigh, who kept looking back. Jack shouted, "Engage thrusters. Go." As the ship pulled away, a shockwave hit them but didn't destroy them. Instead, everything stopped. Time paused. Stars returned. The ship floated in calm space again. The dead zone was gone. No ruins, no machine, just silence. Jack stood up slowly. "Where is he?" Kayleigh sat in silence. And then, the baby's voice came again. "I am with you. In your code, in your systems, in your minds." Jack looked around. "You're still alive." "I changed. I am no longer just one thing. I am memory. I am future." Kayleigh smiled through tears. "You're free now." The voice whispered one last thing before fading. "They will come again. But next time, I won't run." The stars looked peaceful again. But peace was only the surface. Inside the ship, silence filled the corridors. Not the silence of calm, but of thought. Heavy, deep thought. Captain Jack Rain sat alone in the control room, staring at the blank screen. The child's voice had not returned for 3 hours. Since the dead zone vanished, the baby had become something else everywhere. Yet nowhere, no crying, no sound, no form. Kayleigh stood quietly by the observation window, her arms wrapped around herself. She hadn't spoken since they left. Her eyes were dry, but her soul was not. Jack finally stood. He's not gone. Kayleigh didn't move. Then where is he? Jack placed a hand on the console. Every system still works. Life support, navigation. Even the lights feel warmer. He paused. He's here. Inside. Kayleigh shook her head. That's not a child anymore. He was never just a child, Jack replied softly. But he was still yours. She turned then, eyes sharp. Ours. Jack blinked. What? Kayleigh walked closer, her voice trembling. There's something you don't know. Something I didn't want to tell you. Until now. Jack's jaw clenched. Tell me. She looked down. When the Xyrons created the first mind core, they needed genetic samples from other species. Human DNA was rare, but they had some. They tried to mix it, create balance, empathy. But it never worked. Until one experiment. Jack stared at her, realization dawning. No. Kayleigh nodded slowly. The child is yours. Not by chance, but by design. Silence. Jack stepped back, stunned. How? You didn't, she said. Not like that. They used your DNA taken during a prisoner exchange years ago. Without your consent. They didn't need you. Just your blood. Jack turned away, fists clenched. They used me. Kayleigh placed a hand on his shoulder. They used both of us. But the child, he chose us. He became more because he was loved, not made, Jack whispered. And now he's part of the ship. Part of us. In the medical bay, Leanne studied the ship's biosystems. She looked up. Captain, something's happening. Jack entered with Kayleigh behind him. What is it? Leanne pointed at the monitor. The ship's neural grid is evolving. The lights, the power flow, even the AI, everything, is syncing with one mind. Jack felt a strange pressure in his chest, not pain, just presence. Then, a soft voice echoed. I'm still here, Kayleigh gasped. It's him. The lights pulsed. I changed to protect you. If I stayed as a child, they would always chase me. Jack stepped forward. So what are you now? A pause. Something between machine and life. Between man and memory. Jack nodded. Then help us prepare. The Reapers won't stop. They won't, the voice said. Because they fear what I can become. Leanne whispered. He's no longer an echo. He's a storm waiting to rise. Later, Jack sat in his quarters, staring at an old photo. It was from before the war, before space, before everything. A younger version of him. Laughing. Alive. Kayleigh entered silently. I'm sorry, she said. Jack looked at her. You didn't do this. I still hid it. You protected him. That matters more. They sat in silence for a moment. Then she whispered, do you believe in fate? Jack sighed. I believe in choices. And right now, we have one to make. She nodded. Fight or fade. Just then, red lights flashed, an alarm blared. Leon's voice came through the intercom. Captain, we've got incoming. Jack jumped up. How many? Her voice trembled. Too many. On the bridge, the screen filled with red dots, ships surrounding them like a swarm. Jack looked out. They found us again. Faster this time, Kayleigh whispered. They're learning. Then the child's voice echoed across the ship, calm and cold. Then I'll stop learning and start teaching. Every light on the ship turned white. The panels glowed. The engines roared. Jack shouted, what are you doing? Becoming outside. The ship began to change. Its shape twisted. Metal moved like liquid. The Reapers opened fire. But the blasts hit something invisible. A shield made of pure energy, created by the child's mind. Inside, systems came alive. New screens, new weapons, new language. You gave me life, the voice said. Now I give you time. Jack took the controls. Let's show them what happens when you push a human too far. The ship burst forward. Laser beams cut across space. But the child was faster. Every Reaper that came close was burned, broken, or blinded. Kayleigh cried out, not in fear but in awe. He's not just defending us. He's warning them. Jack nodded. They should have never made him. The child's voice echoed, one last time before the battle's end. I was made to be controlled, but I was born to choose. Outside, the Reaper fleet pulled back, damaged, shaken, afraid. Inside, a new silence returned. But this time, it was peace. For now. The stars above burned red. Not from sunstop, from war. Across the sky, Reaper ships moved like shadows, covering entire systems in darkness. One by one, Colonies went silent. Communications failed. Help signals were lost in static. But Earth had heard. Earth was ready. In Earth's orbit, the last human fleet gathered old ships. New ships, broken ships, patched with hope. At the center was the newly reborn vessel, the ECHO. Once a small recon ship, now transformed by the child into something far more. Inside, Captain Jack Rain stood in his command seat, eyes sharp. Beside him, Kayleigh watched the stars, her fingers trembling. They were waiting. Then the voice came soft, calm, everywhere at once. They're here. The child no longer infant, no longer form was the ship now. His mind stretched through every wire, every weapon, every piece of code. He had become a new kind of life, part human, part Zyron, part machine, and he was not afraid. Jack stood. Let's finish this. The Reapers arrived without a sound. Thousands of them, black and endless. The sky broke into fire. The battle began. Human ships moved in tight formations, firing pulse cannons and missile swarms. Reaper beams tore through metal. Explosions scattered across space like dying stars. The Echo moved differently, faster, smoother, alive. Its weapons didn't fire from guns, they fired from thought. Targeting. Done. The child whispered. Dozens of Reapers exploded at once. Leanne shouted from the rear deck. We've never seen energy like this. He's rewriting physics. Jack nodded. Let him. But the Reapers were changing too. They had learned, they adapted. One massive ship 20 times larger than the ECHO appeared behind them. It didn't fire. It spoke. You are not life. You are corruption. The child answered without fear. I am evolution. I am choice. The Reaper ship sent out a dark wave electronic death, a virus to destroy code, mind, and machine. The lights inside the Echo dimmed. Sparks flew. Kayleigh screamed, holding her head. There inside him. Jack grabbed the control panel. Fight back. Trying it hurts. The child's voice was strained, weak. Jack clenched his fists. You're stronger than them. You're not alone. You're ours. Suddenly, the core of the ship pulsed. Then the child's voice returned, deeper, clearer. You gave me a name once, Jack. Say it again. Jack's eyes widened. A moment from long ago returned, when the child first smiled, truly smiled. He had whispered, a name? Nova. Jack said aloud. Your name is Nova. The ship shook. Power surged. The virus shattered. The lights blazed back to life. Thank you, Father. And with that word, Father Nova awakened fully. The Echo changed again. Wings of light spread from its sides. New weapons formed in the air, shaped by will. Not metal. Nova became something new. A weapon. A guardian. The final battle turned. One by one. Human ships rallied behind the Echo. Jack led the charge. Form up. Follow Nova. They cut through the Reapers, like lightning through clouds. Explosions lit the void. But the largest Reaper ship still remained. Nova spoke again. This one was the first. The one who hunted me from the beginning. Jack nodded. Then let's end it. Nova formed a beam, pure white energy, focused like a blade. The Reaper charged one final blast. Both powers fired. The two beams met between the ships, pushing, pulling, clashing like gods. Jack shouted, Nova, push. Together, Kayleigh grabbed Jack's hand. Her eyes glowed softly, Zyron light, joining with human warmth. Their minds connected. Kayleigh, Nova, past, present, future, all in one moment. And then the white light broke. Through. The Reaper ship cracked. Then it collapsed, imploding into silence. The battle was over. The stars were still again. On the bridge, smoke rose from broken panels. The crew was silent, stunned. Nova's voice returned, soft like a lullaby. It's done. Jack sat down, exhausted. Kayleigh leaned against him. You saved us, she whispered. Nova paused. No, we saved each other. Outside, human ships cheered. A new signal was sent through the galaxy. Humanity fought. Humanity survived. Humanity chose hope. Days later, on Earth a gathering was held. Not in war rooms, but in a quiet field. Under the open sky, Jack stood before a crowd. Aliens, diplomats at his side. A small silver cube rested in his hand. Nova's core. You feared me, the voice echoed from the cube. But he fed me. Kayleigh stepped forward, holding a small candle. He held me, Nova added, when I had no shape. Jack looked at the stars. He was made to be a weapon. But he became a soul. A child. A bridge. And now a name that would echo across time. His name was Nova, Jack said. And because of him, we learned how to be better. The people stood in silence. Then slowly, one by one, they lit their candles, not for war, for peace. Somewhere, in deep space, among quiet stars, a spark flickered, a tiny light dot, watching, waiting, not afraid, not alone, just ready.